Hello and welcome to AFI Weekly here on the Under Centre podcast. Dara, your host, joined as usual by Phil Malloy and a special guest this evening. We are delighted to welcome current, former Greenzone host Chris Magee onto the show.
We're on a sabbatical, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Ambiguous podcaster.
Yes.
I'm in between podcasts at the moment. Chris Magee, how are you, bud?
Yeah, thank you for the late season signing to the Under Centre.
For playoff push. We need extra coverage on the playoff push.
Too many goddamn games this weekend, but I'm good.
Yeah. We need you to be here for one regular season week, so you are eligible to be around for the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I'm the ringer.
Playoff predictions.
Yeah. You're my what? Trojan ringer. You're my Trojan horse. Trojan ringer.
You're a Baffa banger, for want of a better word.
Yes.
Just simple. Just say it.
366 days since that happened.
Yeah.
And Dara's still not over it.
Well, no, I was gleefully. Well, they were gleefully reminding me of it there yesterday, which was great. Thanks for that. That was my also like my last game as a pirate, so that too. So yeah, that was great to remember that, going up there just for that and coming home and contemplating whether or not I wanted to continue playing and hating life, and because we just lost the semi-final, and I get to probably do that again now in a couple of weeks, but hopefully win the semi-final against, I'm guessing it's going to be the Sims and the Mavericks. How things are going to work out, but we'll see after this weekend. Chris, before we get into football action, how are you? How's life with the Trojans?
Good, tough, intense, slightly different to what I was doing last season. It's been great. It has. I didn't actually think, myself and Dave were chatting about this yesterday, we didn't actually expect it to be as good as it has been. And it's just a testament to the coaches and the staff there and all the players. It's definitely been the right choice.
Excellent. And tell me, is Greenzone coming back? Have I successfully killed them by bringing?
No, God, no. Listen, we need to do like 3 episodes a year, and then we can apply for the Aer Lingus College Classic media accreditation. And that's just how it's going to be. We're going to flit in, flit out. Listen, if people want regular updates on the AFI, it's always been you guys. But if you want us to come on, say something that's going to get us in trouble, it'll be us for 3 episodes a year.
Well, I do hope you do that, because I do want Dave back at the Aer Lingus Classic this year, because we had a great day last year, so it's only fair that he comes back and
you had the man again last year.
Yeah, so but like hopefully this year we can get a few more, because I know last year obviously was such a huge game with Notre Dame and Navy. Not saying it's not a big game this year, but it should be a little easier to get some of those.
Some of the Irish podcasts had like 5 or 6 tickets.
Yeah. Well, it said it was full, but I remember that day and looking at the press area and just seeing empty seat after empty seat. Like at one stage, like lads just jumped the railing and sat in the stop beside us that were just meant to have regular seats, and no one batted an eyelid. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I suppose that's always the way. They'll give out like so many tickets to big media outlets that just won't go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe they'll get to use the full pitch access and all this year.
No, we had full pitch access.
Oh no, I know.
No, we did. Yeah, we just didn't know, and we didn't go down because we didn't check, because we're a bunch of idiots. You could swear it was our first time getting press pass at an event or something,
Yeah.
Then we had to look at each other afterwards saying, do we go to the press conference? Are we allowed to go to the press conference? I don't know if we're going to the press conference afterwards, but we did anyway. But it was good.
Dave hates press conferences. We've been at a few with Greenzone, and he hates it. He fucking hates it. Like, he likes everything around them, but when it comes like, let's sit in a room and ask like questions, but you're asking questions in front of proper journalists, it's like, no, shit, I hate this.
They're going to find out I'm a fraud. Oh no. We have a few comments in. Speaking of Aer Lingus Classic and stuff, Mick McQuaid says you're looking quite fresh.
Oh, thank you, Mick.
All things considered.
I think that's Fionn and your sweet new cut. Following
Yeah,
on,
aerodynamic.
it's playoff cut.
That's
saw
not.
what you were-
Fionn knew that Chris was coming on. He's like, I'm gonna have to do it. Gonna have to
shape up. I knew you were going to put me beside him, so I had to make sure I was looking as sharp as possible.
Scotty Buchanan wants to know where Dave is because he wants Dave. I think he's
Dave is the real hook with Greenzone.
Yeah, he couldn't get media accreditation for this level of podcast. You see, that's the only problem.
No, see, Dave is too good for this podcast now.
Oh, really?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Well, I just thought we had like an anti-ginger policy on this podcast.
Do we now?
Well, apparently
as like a co-founder of the show, are you enacting that like it's now a ginger-free zone? Is that what it is?
Yeah, until we find a good, like a top quality ginger host, and then maybe we can review that policy then.
Oh, I don't know what's more offensive, banning gingers or calling David non-top quality host. That man has had the host and presenter on the landmines that I laid down.
Dave is now sad, and he is also now happy because we are. I don't know, happy that he's not on the show. I would be too at this stage now because it's all going out of hand. Mick says all of us are looking fresh. Thanks, Mick. You don't have to lie, but thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
He's a people person. He's a people person.
Yeah, well, look, listen, that's what it is. Anyway, lads, listen, we have plenty of football to unpack. We have last weekend's games. Thankfully, the teams looked after us, and most of them only played half a game, so that we don't have too much to cover. We have then also this weekend the final regular season weekend before we get into the playoffs. So obviously we're going to find out after Sunday who is making it to the playoffs, who is getting in to the Shield. So let's get right into it, and let's start with Saturday's games, and we'll start with the Trojans, who came out of their match with the Minotaurs, winning 29 points to 10 at Dermore Park. With the win and the subsequent Admirals loss on Sunday, the Trojans are now 2 points ahead in their matchup in the race for fourth and the playoffs. On the other side of the coin, unfortunately, the defeat meant that the Minotaurs' relegation to Division 1 is now confirmed. Touchdown scorers on the day for the Trojans include James Lynn, Adam McElwee, and the returning Kieran Tomlinson on offense. And then also to cap it off, Thomas Boyd scored a pick six. For the Minotaurs, Jay Burton was responsible for all of the Minnows points, including a touchdown catch from Joe Kinahan, scoring the extra point and a field goal. Chris, at this point of the season, you know, it's not about how you win. It's just about that you win and get into the playoffs. And I'm guessing, A, happy with the win, but B, also maybe things to work on ahead of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this kind of sums up a lot of our season. To say frustrated would be probably a bit of an understatement. We've been tantalizingly close many, many times this season to like being far ahead of where we are now. And we've just fallen short of that. And it was kind of like that. I mean, the opening drive of that game, we marched down, you know what, I think it was 6-7 plays, and we're in the end zone from kickoff. And it kind of started from there, and it took a bit of a stern talking to by Coach Gunn at halftime. And we came out and we got the job done. But plenty of aspects we won't be happy with, and a lot of stuff to work on, and not a lot of time to do so. You know, it's a do or die next weekend. Like, yes, are we happy with the win? Yeah, but are we happy with how we got it? We could have done better.
Fair enough. And entering the chat at the moment, speaking of looking fresh, Alex Sims, how are you, pal?
Good evening, guys. How's it going?
I knew as soon as you heard that Chris Magee was coming onto this show, I knew you'd make it back from England in time for this.
Flew back to defend my honor and defend the show's honor. You know, Chris is looking at the third podcast. You know, not going to happen on my watch.
Hang on. Take down a third podcast, my arse. There is a common denominator with every blow up of every media outlet on this in this country, and that is
Dave.
your head coach, Declan.
That is fair. That is fair.
Greenzone was fine, and then he joined it all fell apart.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Just classic deflection tactics.
Alex, you're upsetting some of the viewers.
Playoff time is business time, and we're getting near that end.
Well, that's it. Alex, you're upsetting a few of the viewers as well. Gavi642 has just said he shit himself thinking that you'd actually gone and cut your hair.
No, still all there. One up, professional.
He's in the professional. He's only after playing after a business trip.
That's it.
So he's got to look fresh and represent. But anyway, listen back to the Trojans.
Yep.
We'll talk more about the game this weekend, when we get to our previews. But we've had Dave Shaw on the show earlier on this season. He was talking about how the work that's been going into preparing this season, and obviously everything that you've done this year. Obviously from your point of view, being on the offense, you probably would have liked to have scored more points in your games. There's been so many one-score defeats, but the defeats that you've had, I'm thinking Fion's Panthers and the game against UCD, one-score games that maybe if the offense was a little more finely tuned, that the results and subsequently your records could have been an awful lot better.
By Alex.
But he's had enough already.
Yeah.
Ended his honor, now he's gone.
Yeah, just keep on for that. Would we like to have scored more points? Of course we would. I think there's been a lot of work. I can't compare season on season because I wasn't here. But the level of effort and level of detail that we go into on everything, it's astonishing. And the work that the coaches do. I mean, the individual coaching that we get, not from sort of the senior coaching staff, but from some of the player coaches, and even the senior players. I mean, in my particular role as an offensive lineman, the 5 guys that I've got there to teach me the ways is absolutely insane. But when it comes to game day, there seems to be a bit of a slow to start, and we need to correct. We need to work on. We just need to get in the mindset. A lot of our losses aren't reflective of who we are as a team. We just need to actually be that team come game day.
Yeah. And you mentioned about finely tuned stuff. I'd love to know, because obviously it's been a step up for the likes of, say, myself, Fionn as well, going from Div 2 last year to going up, for me, 1 division, Fionn 2 divisions. You've gone up now a division each year the last 2 years, from D2 to D1, and now obviously with the Trojans in the Premier Division. What has it been like, the sort of different levels of training, details, preparation that has gone into since you've made the move?
The expectations been a lot higher. When I was with the Jets last season, the goal was to make it to game day in some capacity. And here from day dot, it's like, we'll take it a game at a time, but the ultimate goal is football in July. Everything about it's different. In Div 2, I didn't really get much of a taste of football. Then we went up to Div 1. And I was like, right, okay, football's happening here. I'm getting a smack in the mouth every now and then. We're kind of in trouble. And then up into the SBC, and it's a lot more different, especially as an offensive lineman. If we look at these D linemen, they play differently than they do in Div 1 or Div 2. They're not out to just kill you. They're out to make a play. They're out to watch what's going on. And there's a definite skill jump and quality of player as you go up, as you would expect. But even tactically, the game's a lot more different at the Premiership. Fionn, you'll probably agree. You've seen it yourself. From what you would have played with the Pirates going up into what you're playing with the Panthers.
Yeah, for sure. And like you're saying, the The skill level, of course, is a given. Just everyone's a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, a little bit better at their position. But also, as you said, the kind of diversity of tactics really comes into it. I think as the levels go up, teams go from doing one thing really well and relying on it to doing a couple of things really well. In particular, I think the jump from Div 2 to Div 1 is usually a pass game starts to emerge with a little bit of consistency. And then into SBC, the real jump for me was all of a sudden it's all on the table. There is no tails. There is no giveaways. There's teams that are very good at running the ball and teams that are very good at passing the ball. But for the most part, they're very, very balanced. And that was a big thing for me. I'll echo you, Chris, is just everything. You now need to be good at everything. You need to be able to absorb all the information across all the platforms. Like Chris is saying on the line, you're not just dealing with the bull rush. Now there's moves. Now there's guys that aren't going at all. They really understand that this might be a belly play. It might be a play action. And so they're not just going hell for leather each time. It's very considered. It's very nuanced. And yeah, I think that for me was a big jump, being able to grasp those nuance. I'm free to admit, obviously, I'm here because of unfortunate circumstances in the previous team I was at, not because I was headhunted or scouted to be able to play at this level. And so I still have a massive learning curve in front of me. I've been very fortunate to get the level of game time that I have. And the coaching staff, it hasn't been necessarily just pure fluke. I've earned some of those chances, but I think definitely you have to be honest with yourself and say at the same time, some of the circumstances have allowed me to play a little bit more. And then the coaching and stuff is allowing us, I think it's fair to say, Chris, to be able to start to move towards getting starting reps or in-game reps. And be able to test ourselves. And that's another testimony. The coaching at all levels is really good, but at the top level, it's a tiny bit more balanced. And especially when you start, and I know, Chris, Trojans, you can speak maybe, and I'll throw it back to you now, but having like coaching staffs, right? It's not one head coach. It's not one guy and a volunteer. It's 2, 3, 4 guys. You've got a guy who only does the line, maybe both lines, but only focuses on the line. You've got an offensive guy, a defensive guy. If you're really lucky, you've got a defensive backs guy as well. So I think that's something that really helps guys who are making a jump and rookies be able to hit the ground and be a little bit more sustainable in the SBC, where you don't have to be an SBC level player day one, because most of the time you'll be able to get close to that level at the very minimum, or at least your peak level because of the coaching that's available in the SBC. I think you'd probably agree there, Chris, would you?
Yeah, massively so. I mean, especially when you say about improvement. I mean, every now and then I watch tape of sort of my first reps of training, and then watch where I am now, and like I can see that yes, I've still got a good bit to climb before I'll be able to properly compete for reps against those 5 starters that we have. But it's completely different. And I don't want to sound big-headed or being out blow smoke up the Trojan Stars. I mean, yes, they're a great outfit, and a lot of the teams in the top of the SBC are fantastic outfits. I have drank the Kool-Aid. I am like the Trojans fanboy for what that setup is and what they put together. But yeah, like the expectation on the pitch is greater. The expectation for what you do off the pitch is greater as well. You know, we're all given the information for playbooks and whatever we have for the year. And, you know, there isn't okay, let's book a session, sit down and go through this. It's like, nah, you go learn your stuff. You show up to training ready. If you're not ready, we'll find someone who is. And it's that expectation that football isn't a twice a week deal. It's, you know, an hour a day of your own time. Get your stuff done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Back to the game, and Alex, I want to get your point of view on this one. The Minotaurs relegation was confirmed. They will be playing Division 1 football next year, unless the league decides to mess up the league structure again, which is always a possibility. How do you feel that they will fare back down in Division 1? They obviously have a very talented squad, a squad good enough to get up to the Premier Division and stay there last season. This season obviously hasn't worked out the way that they want, but some serious pieces on that team that I'm sure that they'll be targeting a promotion straight back up to the Premier Division next year.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're going to be straight into as one of the contenders for Division 1. Obviously, The structures to be determined probably, but they're definitely, I would imagine, going to be up there competing, because like 0-7, likely going to be 0-8 this season. But they've still put in some displays that are nothing to sort of make fun of. Like they've gone out and played some good hard games that have learned a lot, and I think the guys that are involved there, from the coaching staff to the players, they're all really good professional guys there, and I think they'll use everything that they've faced this year to sort of learn from and build into their own game and improve. So I think next year they're probably going to be one of the favourites for the bowl, if indeed they are playing in Division 1.
All right. Okay, perfect. Let's move on then to the other game on Saturday. And this was unfortunately one of the games that did not finish. It was the UCD and Rebels game. I heard the commentary on the live stream was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if
Sean McVeigh's a talent.
Oh, see, he is an underrated broadcaster. When he is done playing football, he should be a broadcaster. His co-host was awful. I'd get rid of him anyway.
Apparently, there's a new co-host this weekend.
Apparently, they got rid of the wrong person. Yeah. Sean is not going to be there, and they're going to bring someone else. They're keeping the other lad. But yes, the game ended 18-16 to the Rebels. Like I said, it was abandoned in the third quarter after QB Ty Henry took a tough hit and had to be taken to hospital in the ambulance. Obviously, no precaution was taken. All precautions, I should say, were taken to take him to I think it was St. Vincent's he ended up in, just to make sure that everything was okay. Thankfully, he is. He was discharged later that day. But as per league rules, because it was in the third quarter, the game was abandoned and the result will remain 18-16. Fascinating result as well, because if we go back to week 1, UCD beat the Rebels by 2 points, and the Rebels have won this game by 2 points. So the head-to-head is totally null and void between the two teams. So at the moment, UCD are ahead of the Rebels on points difference. They have a 22-point cushion. And considering that the fixtures that we're going to get into later on, it's fascinating, considering as well that the Rebels are going to play Saturday. So by the time UCD plays Sunday, they know exactly what they're going to have to do to keep that 1 seed. Because if they do end up even losing the game on Sunday, they could go all the way down to third and not get a home playoff as well. And I guess, Fionn, it's all about trying to avoid you and the Panthers and trying to see if they could get, if it's going to be yourself, Chris, or the Admirals, trying to see who's going to end up in fourth. But yeah, a controversial end to a game that had just sparked into life there at the start of the third quarter. The Rebels went up 18-0 very quickly through 2 touchdowns by Greg Johnson and 1 from Dan Johnson. Pete Masterson caught a touchdown just before halftime, which they then converted a 2-point try. Then Tom Donovan came in to rush a touchdown in, and then did the same with the resulting 2-point. On the play that Ty was injured was actually an interception as well. So the UCD, I should say, were going to be set up in good field location to possibly take the lead in that game. So obviously a lot of people obviously saying various things about what should happen with the game and stuff like that. I'll start with you on this one, Alex, and the first thing that had to make sure is that the player that was hurt in this instance, Ty, was okay. Now, they obviously made the decision that he wasn't okay enough to stay there, that he had to bring him to hospital. And the fact that there was no ambulance then available after that is obviously beyond anyone's control. And obviously player welfare is first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, it's a really unfortunate way to end the game, but I think there was no real recourse there. Any otherwise, the medical professionals there deemed him unfit to play, and they deemed it serious enough that they wanted to take him to hospital. They have to stay at the hospital and do the handover. They couldn't get alternative ambulance. I know the guys were all waiting there, kitted up for in excess of an hour, I think, waiting to see if it was going to be possible. Waiting to see if it was going to be possible to finish out the game if the ambulance came back. It wasn't possible. So, look, by the bylaws, the game being abandoned at the third quarter and result final is the way it had to go. There was no no real recourse. There's not time to refix that game. I don't think either team would be too up for playing it anyway the week before the semi-finals. I think they'd rather focus on the more pressing matters that were coming the following week. So I think it's the only way that the result could have been handled. It would have been really interesting, and it was a good game. It probably would have set up for a cracker if UCD take the lead. Then can the Rebels, fight back? It probably would have been a great shootout finish. But unfortunately, we'll never get to see it. But maybe we'll get to see a replay in indeed possibly even the semi-finals, or actually, can they play in the semis? I suppose
No,
unless no, they can't.
Well,
they can't.
There's one.
UCD and
if the
UCD
Minotaurs
and
beat the Rebels and the Panthers hockey UCD, then yeah, they couldn't they? With a big enough points difference.
No, I don't think the Minotaurs need to beat the Rebels. I think if the Panthers do spank UCD, they can.
Because the Rebels have head-to-head over the Panthers. So yeah, look, I think it's probably an impossible combination that would set up that semi-final. It could be a future bowl match. And I'm sure no one, bar maybe Fionn and Chris here, would complain too much of that bowl matchup. So look, I think that was the way the results had to go. But unfortunate to see, but glad to see the Ties not too hurt. I doubt he'll play this weekend. Rest, I think the Rebels will be looking for him to rest up and see if he's good to go in the semi-final. But
you know that lad played 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't fancy.
You know that, right? Yeah.
He's had an awful season. Sorry, he's had a good playing season, but he's had an awful season for injuries. And I still think he cut his hair and he lost his immortality.
could be that. Could well be that. But we wish him all the best anyway.
Yeah. Well, if there's any winner,
you can't cut your hair now because of it.
Oh, absolutely not.
If there's any winner in this, it's definitely the AFI, because number one, it sets up that quite interesting dynamic now of the head-to-head being tied and us getting a tantalizing glimpse of what one of the potential Shamrock Ball finals could line up as. Obviously, in the first game, I believe as well, UCD went up and the Rebels started coming back. So it would have been interesting to see. Obviously, there was a momentum shift happening at the time, but plenty of time also still remaining on the clock. So, but also I think the AFI has done well, because I highly doubt the AFI bylaws have been downloaded so many times since Sunday in all the probably 3 years they've been up beforehand. We had so many rules analysts come out of the woodwork. I heard guys saying, why weren't there 2 ambulances at the game? Like all sorts of crazy stuff as to why this game couldn't get restarted beyond the obvious of, look, a player got injured. It was worth the precaution to go to hospital, and then the traffic takes over from there. But yeah, very, very interesting. Good for us, I think, as podcasters, get a bit of talking points going. But ultimately, I think it really just reinforces it's still 1A, 1B, and the other 2 playoff teams have plenty of work to do to make sure this isn't the Shamrock Ball matchup, you'd have to say at the moment. There's certainly, as the 1 and 2 seed, they've got to be the favourites. But I think Chris will agree, all of us, those top kind of 5 teams in the league have at least shown that on a good day, maybe you'd have to argue for the Trojans, Admirals and Panthers would need a good day, but they're certainly capable. This is by no means a walkover for the UCD or the Rebels, whichever combination of semi-finals end up happening. So I think it's really good for the league. It's really interesting for the league. The gap is starting to close slowly but surely, and the talent level looks great for the Premier Division for a couple of years to come as well.
Just a few comments before, because I've missed a few. Fionn, I seen you've paid Owen Mulligan to comment on the Instagram today, because Fionn needs to stop putting himself. He needs to stop putting himself down. Top performance with 2 deep pass breakups on Sunday. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Let me see. Gabby came back and mentioned, are you sure the coaching is good at all levels? Talking maybe Chris, when you were talking about the transition from the Jets to the Trojans. Big Deck came in saying, looking well, Alex, don't see you in a shirt often. And Alex now turned off his camera as I read out that.
It's because he keeps ripping them open every time. Like he just rips all the buttons and all that shit.
Chris's tech gremlins are trying to take me down.
Yes, it's a systematic play for me against Dundalk as a whole.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Chris is going to start to he's going to get AI software to slowly rotate his head so that he just becomes like an Alex Sims impersonator, and no one was going to notice when you drop off the.
I'm going to appear like in the backdrop of Alex's video.
Chris is you're actually in the next room. We know. Don't worry about that.
To your previous point there, Fiona, there were a lot of amateur rules officials coming out everywhere, Instagram commenting, correcting things that we've put out or anyone else has put out. But like getting the actual answers, you need to consult like
actual answers will never come out.
Consult with some sort of
conspiracy. It's the lizard. It's exactly how the lizard people want it.
Yeah,
that's it. Some sort of you consult with some, answer some riddle from a troll under a bridge. And I'm not talking about it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He's much worse than a troll. He's a guard.
Oh.
Only joking, Aidan. We love you.
Yeah, Aidan appearing on one of the other podcasts there tonight, so that should be interesting. You have a few questions for him. Now's your chance to get in.
So
on
any red flags we throw up, what do you ask them?
Yeah. So anything else to add to Rebels UCD before we move on? No. Excellent. Okay, perfect. Move on to Sunday's game. Games, I should say, game and a half. We'll start off with the Panthers traveling down to Cork and beating the Admirals 34 points to 30. I was keeping obviously up to date, and I was updating the Instagram with the latest score, and I counted there was 6 lead changes in this game. Unbelievable game. I can't wait actually to see the tape of it. There was 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns for Matty O'Meara. Jamie Leonard got himself a rushing touchdown of his own. The 2 passing touchdowns were to Sean Goldrick. On the Admiral side of things, QB Jay Kennedy ran in for 1 rushing touchdown and 2 passing touchdowns to Declan May. Ben Kennedy had 2 rushing touchdowns of his own. Fionn, it sounded like it was an absolutely mental game. Lead changes to and fro all the time.
Yeah,
break it down for me.
It was a humdinger. I think I know you get your stats directly from source, so I think we missed one as well. Jamie Leonard had a receiving touchdown as well from Matty too. So important to give him a shout out. I think when Sean Goldrick's on the squad, I think sometimes Jamie gets overlooked a little bit, but he's a fantastic receiver and so important to what the Panthers do on offense. Absolutely humdinger of a game, like you said, back and forth between both teams, and also kind of well worth it. You know what I mean? I don't think either team felt like they were playing badly, quite close to optimal in difficult heat. I think it got up 24, 25 degrees, plenty of sunburn. Thankfully, that was the biggest injury I think we had on the day, is a bit of sunburn. So that was lucky, but plenty of lads going down for cramps and stuff. Overall, a really good performance. I think, obviously, both sides, you'd like to concede a little bit less points. But, I mean, when both offenses are running as smoothly as they are, the Kennedy brothers were really phenomenal. I have to give them a lot of credit. They're so dynamic in offense, Cork, and they had that little shaky stuff that I never really believed in the narrative of that second half. The first game obviously was a big one that's going to end up making life difficult for them now coming into this game against Chris's Trojans. But through the season, they've kind of come on leaps and bounds, and they are an excellent offensive attack. I think they were missing one of their big tight end weapons, which I think would have been nice for them to have. I think that could have made it even closer towards the end. But in terms of a spectacle, you can't ask for much more. I mean, 6 lead changes. The last lead change came within the 2-minute warning, and then Cork got the ball, I think, on the 30 or the 40-yard line, a 90-yard pitch with a chance to go and win it 4 points down. So they needed a touchdown, and we were able to hold on then with some good pass coverage. So I think overall good. I should also mention as well, Brian O'Brien as well. We had a little memorial for him, moments silence. All the players wore black armbands. So that also certainly added to the atmosphere, the emotions of the game. I think Cork did really well. I give them a lot of credit for managing that. I'm sure it's not easy. Obviously, I don't know if Brian was still playing, but he was definitely still very involved in the Cork setup. So huge for them to be able to manage that, not let it get on top of them, but also to kind of manifest it and get an extra bit of energy, I feel, because they were so hard hitting. They were full of energy on offense and defense all day in that heat. And so I think it's a victory the Panthers are very proud of. Do you know what I mean? It's a big win for us. We're considering these last this week gone by and this week coming up as almost early playoff football must wins for us to put ourselves obviously on the league table. We can't do a whole lot about our position change, obviously maybe with a particularly big win over UCD, but other than that, there's not a whole lot we can do other than to make sure we're playing our best football, which in fairness I think has been a pretty consistent message to say that our ultimate goal was to play our best football to the end of the season. It's how our schedule was set out. It's also what you need, as Chris will say. I'm sure they're saying the same thing as the Trojans. If they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to need to beat a good Admirals team. They're going to need to play well, and then they're going to need to continue to play well because the semi-final and obviously the ball games go without saying that you need to play your best football then. So, yeah, a kind of another Bill Belichick answer, but it's how I like to do them. And, yeah, it was a great game to be a part of, and I'd imagine a great game to watch as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this scoreline coming in, like it really drilled home that Cork's improvement over the last however many weeks is real. So it is. We played them fairly early on in the season and got the first win for the Trojans away to Cork, and they've just went for the strength to strength. Jake's had an absolutely phenomenal season, and the go and to stay in when you have that triple threat of Maddie, Finn, and Goldie, to be able to like defensively control that. Well, I say control, he still conceded 34 points, but to keep your offense in the game is an absolute testament to what they've done over the course of the season. Not to take away from the Panthers actually winning, but I think we all expected this to be a lot more of a Panthers win than a 4-point lead.
Yeah, and it's the last two games especially that the Admirals have really found sort of their offense, and we're putting 44 points on the Knights and 30 points there on the Panthers as well. Two sort of defenses that you would not say are in the lower half in the league in terms of quality. So they've really found something there, and it's obviously been well noted that the change in coordinators with Brendan Kelleher going from defense to offense now as well. So he's bringing a fresh leaf, and obviously having to change things around for a new QB was difficult. Alex, on the Panthers side, sticking with the Panthers side of things as well, a game that, could have gotten away from them down in Cork, a team that won't go away. They keep coming back. Maybe previous iterations of Panthers teams, maybe even last season's Panthers team, might not have been able to keep going. But there seems to be a sort of steel and a grit about this Panthers team now this year.
Yeah, no, they were really, really resilient. Really showed some fight on the field, and I think like they're in a really good position now going into the playoff hunt. Obviously, they've got a big test this weekend, UCD. That'll be a real barometer, but at the same time, neither team will probably want to give too much away. But the Panthers now have had, was that the second game where Maddie was QB?
Yep.
Yeah,
so he took over about halfway through the Rebels game, and then this was his first full game under center.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, of course, he's an experienced QB, and he knows the Panthers setup there and plenty of the guys, but he's still only really getting his feet in under the table. Like, when you look at everyone else's, experience so far in the season, I think it was good to have a game like this. If it had been, a pasting or a bit of an easy fixture, it probably doesn't set them up for this gauntlet that they're going through now, because there's no mugs left on your schedule now. You're playing teams that all want to be in the bowl now these next 3 games, so you've got to know that you can go to the wire, that when it comes down to it you can turn to your stars and say, right, we have to pull this out of the bag. We've got under 2 minutes, we got to go down the field and take the lead here win. They have proven that they can put it away. So I think that'll be a great test for them, and I think they did pretty well to not get distracted on the day as well. Like, obviously it was a big emotional day, as Fionn said. Like, and the Admirals were really fired up for this one. You can obviously understand why. So they were coming out of the blocks firing, and the Panthers were well able to trade blows with them and stand toe to toe for the full 12 rounds and just edge it in the end. So good display for them, and I think bodes well for their July hopes.
Yep. Excellent. Let's move on then to the only game that was scheduled to take place in Division 1 at the weekend. Craigavon Cowboys 30, 34, 49. Not sure which one now it was now, to be totally honest with you. They beat the Razorbacks. The Razorbacks decided to not play the second half after being down. It was 34-0 at halftime, technically, wasn't it?
Yep,
It was, yeah.
I saw, if you haven't, go follow the Craigavon Cowboys on Instagram, because they put up the stats. The stats for the first half are like somebody's stats for a full game. Like, Peter Loughran had like over 300 yards passing in the first half alone. And then Sunshine, I think, had over 200 yards receiving in the first half alone. Crazy stats. Obviously, they really dominated that first half. We've obviously speaking to a few the Cowboys lads, especially because it was their alumni day. They were quite upset at the fact that the Razorbacks made the decision despite them having adequate numbers. This wasn't a jet situation where they had 14 players on the pitch or 14 players available. I think there was the guts of 20, 21, 22, something like that there on the day. Lads, I know we spoke about it a little bit in the group chat, and I did get to speak to someone from the Razorbacks. They did mention that this was a discussion that they had that before the game, if things got too out of hand, if they weren't going to learn anything from the game, that it might be something that they do. I'll leave the floor open to anyone that wants to discuss the game or discuss the aspects around it. But
can we please fucking just play a full game of football? Can that just be a fucking thing? Like, we pay to play this goddamn sport. As somebody who has spent a year getting spanked, and no, sorry, not this year, last year, just for reference.
Sorry, I thought it was your personal life, not your football life there, Chris.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, so that would be this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what if someone sticks 60 on you? Play to the whistle. Just play the 4 quarters. Unless there is a genuine risk to player safety. Just play the game. You've come all that way. Just play the goddamn game. Yeah. But up the Cowboys.
Totally.
Cowboys have a great season.
Totally agree. That's it. Play your football. Try something different. It's not working. You're getting beat heavily. Just try something different. Tell guys to do different things. See what might work. You're not going to learn anything from forfeiting a half of football. What you are going to learn from playing a half of football against one of the best teams in the division is maybe how to be better at football. Or, oh, fuck, this works. This thing that I thought about once but never really implemented. So we thought we'll implement it now in the second half. And, oh, lo and behold, it works, something like that. I think unless you have a genuine reason to forfeit, such as serious injuries or not enough players, I can't see why you would choose to just don't even bother playing the second half. That's not competitive football. That's sort of pub league for the crack. Ash, we all just call it a day and get beer. None of us, most of us aren't in this for just to have the crack. We enjoy playing football. We want to play football to the best of our personal abilities and go far, and maybe even win a Shamrock Bowl one day. I can't really comprehend going out there with a pre-plan of if it's going poorly, sack it off. Like, what is the point of playing the game then? At least inform them in advance that can save on pitch rental, ref fees, ambulance fees, whatever it is, and just don't bother playing the game, because what is a scoreline at halftime that the Racers would have deemed, or the Razorbacks would have deemed productive, is what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
If Peter only has 250 yards, is it keep going? But like, I don't understand it.
No, and Nordy, and it's one of those things that exactly what you said. Like, you're going to get better by playing a better team. Like, if you're sitting going into the second half and you're 35, 40 points, whatever it was, behind, like, nobody thinks you're going to win. You know, nobody thought they were going to win going into it anyway, but no one thinks you're going to win. Break out the weird shit. Break out the, like, let's do some trick plays. Let's have some fun. Let's like turn around and try to Harlem Globetrotters, the Craigavon Cowboys here. You know, yes, if you want to say let's just stop this and have the crack, why just keep doing it and have the crack?
Yeah.
You know, have a bit of fun. Throw stuff in there, it's never going to work.
I think literally all of us here have suffered in the 1-8 season where we got hockeyed. Like, I mean, I played in the SBC. I think we lost 67-7 to the Knights. But we kept playing. We were being hammered at halftime. We kept playing. And guess what? We fucking scored against the Knights. You know, we scored in the SBC. It's not something that everyone can see. You know, someone, I can't even remember who it was, but someone scored a touchdown that day. And that's an SBC touchdown. You know, they can, like, you know, talk about that for all the reliefs. You know, like, you gotta, you know, get up, keep playing, and you'll become better for it. Absolutely. Yep. Just quitting and sacking off is not the way.
Yeah.
Not the way.
I mean, I mean, I'm a big advocate of, look, at the end of the day, I also would preach that it's an amateur sport. We've all got to be able to stand on Monday morning and go into our jobs where we make money. And at that point, yes, I think you're getting down to 15 players. The other team has overmatched you. I do think the risk of injury starts to increase, but I think that's going to be few and far between. And as you said, the attitude that you have to be getting something out of these games, I think, is a weird one, because that's very objective, or subjective. That's got to come from your coaches. I mean, I would argue if you're 35-0 down and your corner gets to go against a live wide receiver where the ball is actually being thrown, and he has to, even if he's not good at it, but if he's learning trail technique or to stay over the top, or you want to work on a zone read and you're able to kind of coach these things in game against a real wide receiver and a real quarterback who's going to throw it to him, there's got to be some value in that, right? And so I think, yeah, it kind of echoes what Chris and Alex have said, as like the concept of we're getting something out of it has to come from the coaching. You have to be getting something out of every rep, because it's a live rep and it's very hard to regenerate those. So regardless of the score, unless it's become physically dangerous for your players to stay out there, because look, we're an amateur sport. It's the lowest division as well. I'm sure there's guys out there that are new to sports in general. You know what I mean? Not all bodies are made equal. There might be concerns about some people. It's my personal opinion, and it's rough to say because I wasn't at the game, but I did ref the Razorbacks recently. Plenty of big lads, good, strong, healthy squad size. So I don't think they were ever at and we know, Darrell, we played with the Pirates. It might have been even before your time. We've been down so many players that we have had to call a game here or there physically, because we couldn't keep enough players on the pitch. And at that point, it becomes a different decision. But I think if your decision is based on what you're getting out of the game, I don't think you can ever forfeit, because as a coach, your perspective has to be every rep is a teachable moment. Every rep is something we're getting out of the game. And I think that echoes in a different maybe wording what Alex and Chris was saying, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm sure the Razorbacks will have to and will justify it to their players. I'm sure there's some players that will agree. I'm sure there's other players that won't agree and would have liked to play on. We won't make any comment on the players. We know they play hard anytime they're between the hash marks. And sometimes these decisions are taken out of your hands. Somebody somewhere thought it was the right decision. Who are we to denounce them, but other than to offer our opinion and say, look, maybe there is ways we can maybe change the opinion on what getting something out of a game looks like, and encourage, as Chris says, encourage games of football to be finished. At the end of the day, no one really remembers these scores except for you. So The score is not necessarily what's important. It's participating, it's learning, it's going rep by rep, and it's testing yourself against someone opposite you, your opposition, and seeing if you can stack up, and if you can't, where you can improve. So I'll leave my ramble there, but I do think there's plenty to be taken from every game of American football that goes on in this island.
But also, hitting boys is fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, I am sympathetic to the Razorback situation that they're in at the moment. You know, if we go back to March, week 1, they go up to, was it week 1 or something? But one of the early weeks, and they beat the Vipers. I think it was like 44-0. Or was it the Jets 44-0? One of those games. Anyway.
Jets, I think.
And it was the Jets, yeah. And since then, like, just things have gotten progressively worse where you think, oh, this is the bottom. No, this is the bottom. No, this is the bottom. You know, you have your head coach leave mid-game. You have, you know, players leaving. But you have in this situation now the players that left probably, let's say, are your stars. Okay? So now you have guys that maybe wouldn't necessarily think that they were going to start. So you have, yes, okay, maybe they're not as ready as the stars. And that's fine. But especially now, the fact that they are getting first team reps finally, like I'm the same as you guys. It doesn't sit right with me in that you didn't give these guys valuable reps, because we all have a rep count when it comes to playing in general. We all only have so many reps, and you want to get as many in before your time's up playing. And for guys that are still learning, we're all still learning the game. For guys that, you know, yes, okay, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is hindsight, but the Cowboys, as we're saying, they were going to pull the Stars at halftime anyway. You know, so you could have made it a little more competitive with their backups. You never know what could have happened. Like Alex says, you get one score, you're feeling great because they haven't scored the last few games. At least getting a score on the board, knowing that, okay, what we did on offense on this drive worked. We can take that forward into our last game. Maybe take it forward into the plate. I don't think they can play in the plate now. No, that's the Vipers, sorry, but we'll get onto that. You can take it into the plate, use that, and you never know what's going to happen. You're going to give these guys reps. They're going to make them better for next year. And I just feel that maybe there's a sense of the people in charge are saying, let's put a full stop at this season now. Let's not, like, it's done. Forget about it. We move on. We go to preseason, and but there's still so many opportunities this season for you to make yourself better for next season. It's not just let's forget about it. I don't think I don't think they actually are saying let's just forget about it. But I think they've been beaten down a lot this year, and I think that when they see scorelines and when they see, you know, Peter Loughran throwing for 300 yards on their defense, and, you know, multiple touchdowns going in, and they can't seem to move the ball. You know, it breaks you down. Like we're saying, we've all been through 0-8 seasons. We know that when we see other teams moving the ball at ease and our guys can't move the ball, it demoralizes you, it hurts you, but you still have to go through these hard lumps. You still have to go through these hard games to figure out something that will work in the future that makes you better. So, look, I'm with you guys. I don't agree. I don't agree at all that the fact that the decision was made with healthy bodies and bodies that could have actually, you know, worked out. But I want to talk about something else as well surrounding this weekend very quickly. And I know we're way over time. We actually should be finishing the show now. We haven't even talked about this weekend games. I blame Chris Magee on this. He just rambles on way
his
too
timing
much.
has thrown everything. Yeah,
Rambles on
You're
way
welcome.
too much for this.
Follow me for more podcast hacks.
Well, the good news is, Dara, I think some of the games coming up are more relevant than others. So maybe we'll just do quick predictions and only chat about a couple of the games.
You don't want to clash with some other shows.
Yeah, look.
Well, they have the big guests on.
I'm not on that one.
Well, look, listen, you know.
Well, you're a big guest, Chris.
Yes.
I was just
as a lineman.
No, look, listen. I want to mention this quickly, and just before we get into this weekend's games. And look, it's around the whole communication of what happened this weekend. You know, it was mentioned there after talking about Rebels and stuff, about people making up their own, not making up their own rules, but assuming rules from bylaws are the ones that we are going to enact for this game and rules for this game, but then there could be other ones. There was no clear information given by the league in any aspect, even in an email or socials, anything, nothing. The only official talk we got was from another podcast that had board members on it. And that seems to be the decision. And I feel that, and we say it every year, communication needs to get better. Communication needs to get better. I want to, just even something simple on social media, a nice little, like any background with the logo on the back saying, these are the outcomes of the games as per the bylaws. No one questions it. Few people get upset. That's fine. You get upset. But then people know the rules, and then we don't know. We don't, like the likes of this podcast and maybe other podcasts don't have to be answering other people's questions on behalf of the league because, you know, we put out a table or we put out a latest score or something. But I want to put, like, because especially the social media side of things, it kind of irks me a little bit because I want to throw a few dates at you. The 24th of May was the last time that the league posted anything about league fixtures on any social media. And that was through the now defunct AFI Redesigned. It wasn't actually themselves. I'm not counting the Shamrock Bowl logo reveal because that has nothing to do it. Anyway, at no point have results been posted online. At no point have any stats been posted online. I'm talking about social media only. I'll get to the website in a minute. At no point has an updated league table been posted. On the website itself, the last time it was updated was the 24th of March for those games. So technically every team has played one game. You know? Why aren't we updating this? I know this is a volunteer organization. I know you need volunteers to do it. But you obviously have volunteers in place that you're happy with because you're not asking for anybody help. You haven't come to us. Look, our DMs are open.
Yeah. And Dara, we're a volunteer organization. Do you know what I mean? You're the one that's keeping on top of this stuff and posting it. We understand. I think you in particular and us as a podcast are in a particularly privileged position to be able to say, yes, we know it's a lot of work, but also we know it's doable because Dara is doing it right now. And you set it up the first couple of weeks, Dara, I know, because I kind of help you out on the Instagram every now and then. But the first couple of weeks, it's chasing teams. What happened? I mean, if you don't give it to us, nobody will know. But all of a sudden, you know, you start posting the touchdown leaders, the passing leaders, and we're getting corrections come in, and guys are starting to look and try and find their name and say, I should be number 5. I have more than that, and realizing and maybe pushing and seeing the enjoyment of why we're trying to collect the stats, how we're trying to grow the interest in the sport, make it, I don't want to say more professional, but more all-encompassing, a bit more rounded as a kind of a marketable entity, not necessarily on a money perspective, but from a viewership perspective, for people to be able to follow guys that they're not already good mates with or from the team that they're on, and be able to track maybe a little bit what's going on in Division 1, what's going on in the Premier Division. And so I think for you to be saying this, I think should take even more weight, and people should listen because it takes effort, it takes energy. But if the right people are in the right positions, it can be done. And look, maybe they're asking one person to do 5 or 6 of these jobs. That's not fair. That's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is, Gary, you'd be more than happy to just let them post the same stats you're already gathering, if that's how they wanted to do it, or they could find someone that replicates what you do for them. And it just doesn't seem to be happening. The effort, the energy isn't there.
But I also want to get across fact, and Chris, it's actually kind of, you know,
your fault.
Yes, absolutely his fault. Absolutely his fault. But no, because, you know, with being a part of, you know, talking about us and then obviously going yourself and doing Greenzone, you know, we have talked a lot over the last year, especially about things that we've wanted to do to improve the league in terms of even just the stats base, like a website, anything. We've like mostly you have done it last year, have tried your best to get into the league, to talk to the league, to offer solutions, to offer help. You know, even like these past few weeks, I've gone to people who are in charge of communication side of things to try and offer my help, and I get left on red. So, like, for me, and I look, if I get in trouble for this at this stage, I don't care. But there's egos in that league that don't want help from outside sources because they think they're doing a good job themselves. But the proof is in the pudding that they're not. And I'm fed up with this, you know, just let's talk in the shadows about it because, you know, we don't know who we might upset. Don't care anymore. Because all I'm trying to do is make this league better. All I'm trying to do is improve it in a way that I feel I can do it. And also outside of playing the game, like this platform, I shouldn't have to do, a player shouldn't have to do a podcast and putting out stats on social media every week. It should be the league's thing. It should, like, you have an official league website, you have an official league social media. You do nothing with it. And now I know I'm going to hear it. And I know I'm going to hear that, oh, we don't have the volunteers, you know, nobody wants to do it. Ask people. Look at the Panthers social media, how good they're getting. Look at the Trojans social media, how good they're getting. Look at how much the Mavericks has improved over the last few years. Look at how much look, I'm going to say the Pirates. Look how much the Pirates improved. You know, there's people there. You don't ask for help. Why? Don't be those ones that just sit back and say, you come to us and then we'll decide if we want you because we have a great product here.
And it's like, it doesn't have to be atmosphere. Like, do the fucking league table in Excel. Just give it so that there's an official league table that people can look at and say, that's the league record. Because, look, we love you, Dario. Your graphics are great, but I'm not sure our league table has ever been correct.
but if it's
because we don't know to go off, we're guessing because we don't know. Were the Razorbacks deducted a point? Who knows? Like, we have actually no way of knowing. Are they going to be deducted at that point? Are the Eagles going to be deducted points for the league ref miscommunication thing? Like, that happened in March. Was it March? Like, we don't know the answers to things that are going to determine people's football and faith in July, and that's insane.
Yeah. But like you mentioned there about official league table, what's to stop the Jets turning up 13th of July, that's the Saturday for Division 1 playoffs, showing up at a venue saying, yeah, we're in the playoffs. Show me the league table. Show me the league table that proves, show me an official league table that proves that we're not in the playoffs. Yep. You know,
technically, they're not in the playoffs because of the Vipers.
but no, I'm talking about promotion.
No, I take your point.
It's a hugely important thing because
no
we had this. Yeah, we had this 3 or 4 years ago, Dara, didn't we? There was, and we don't have any issues, and we appreciate all our colleagues in the podcasting community as well. But the reality is, the domestic game got the official AFI backing to be the podcast, and that's fine. But so that makes us totally independent. What you're seeing on the screen now is it's correct. There might be a few numbers Dara doesn't count so well, but it's the most accurate league table you're going to find around the league. But it's not official. None of this is real. The real one is, and if it does exist, that's the worst part. If it does exist, then why isn't it up? If there is somebody sitting at the back, if Aiden really does have an Excel spreadsheet that says, no, the Cowboys are top of Division 1 with 13 points, then why isn't it just presented? I don't know anything about computers, but I can't imagine it takes more than half an hour to take a list that already exists and put it on a computer screen. So I think that's a huge problem you're after highlighting there. I hadn't necessarily thought about it in that perspective of what's the official line? What is the official table right now? And who has it? And if that person has it, why are they not in charge of updating it visually for the rest of the league to be able to track?
Yeah, and how can the sport grow as well? Like we've got the sport has grown exponentially. You know, it's fantastic. It's in a good place, but you're now at a point where the next sort of step, I would say, is non-playing fans, guys who are just fans of teams, you know, they might have never played, but they came and watched. You know, a guy from Dundalk comes down and watches us and says, I'm a fan, I'm going to follow them. I look up American Football Ireland, get there, the website or whatever, and as far as he's concerned, I think we've played one game, maybe. on that fixture list that hasn't been updated since March. Like,
it was a great
how
one.
do we grow the game to fans when they haven't the foggiest? It's like, well, I guess I'll just turn up at Dundalk Rugby Club on the Sundays that the Mavericks are posting about it, and I've no other way of really following the league as far as they'd be concerned. Like, because you're not going to know, oh yeah, Under Centre podcast. It's going to mean they're not going to necessarily find that to look at our unofficial league table. You know, they are the source, they are the word of the league, like the league.
They're the governing body.
You know,
they are the league. You know, I mean, this is something that I was last season. I was fairly outspoken about, and it was one of the reasons why coming into this season that I completely scaled back Greenzone, because I just wasn't up for fighting the fight anymore. And I'm going to be a bit converse here and say that actually, compared to last year, the league technically is doing more. I mean, we've got the domestic game on a regular basis. And I think in a previous rant about this, I did say, as long as the league takes at least one step forward each year, I'd be happy. And in a way they have. But you're right. This is the problem that does need to be solved. And we're at the business end of the season, and realistically between now and the Shamrock Bowl, nothing is going to happen. Like nothing's going to change there. But at least get the questions out there that we can start to push the next season to actually document what we're doing as a sport in the country. You know, as you say, they can't rely on independent parties to do all this. But we do, and you guys do it for the love, and I do it for college football tickets.
The money.
I do it for the Manscaped sponsorship. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's so frustrating. Massively frustrating because, as you say, you just want to do right by the league. And that's what any of the media outlets, that's what Gaelic Gridiron, that's what NFL Ireland, Talking Balls, Greenzone, I'll name us all. I'll put us all in the one boat, AFI Redesigned. It's done out of the love. And it's really, really heartbreaking when the thing you're trying to support doesn't want to support itself.
And I think it's important as well. We're not trying to bash anyone. We're not saying no one else is, they're not putting in effort, and there's not efforts going on around the league in other aspects, like Barry, you've said, and Chris, you've said, of like trying to move the league forward. But it is like, if you go as far as having bylaws and taking the league seriously, which everybody involved does, it is an important point to have an official league table. Like, that is actually a real thing that has to exist, the same as a bylaw does, the same as a club application does. It's a functional piece. This is not, oh, we should have yards per catch stats on the website. That would be great to have. That is something we can work towards. But in my opinion, an official league table that is up to date is what we need to have. There has to be it. And if it does exist offline somewhere, please just put it online. I think it's only fair for the fans, as you mentioned, but also for the teams. We should know who's in Division 1, who's in Premier Division, going to make the playoffs, going to make the Shields. As we said, we're literally not joking. The points deductions that might have happened last week, the points deductions that are going to happen this week, how does that impact the Shield? Because I believe last place in Division 1 doesn't get a Shield. But is there also a removal of, if you have too many forfeits, you also can't play in the Shield? So now what happens to this in the Shield in Division 1? Because now we have two teams that don't qualify with the Vipers. So it kind of becomes very difficult.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. It's enough of a rant. I think I'm already getting messages of people telling me to shut up.
Sorry, I wasn't chuckling at you there, Fionn. I just saw the comment.
I
saw the same one. Don't worry, Chris. I saw the same one.
Yeah. I have the hook coming in to take my neck away there now for this. But look, listen, appreciate it, lads, for having the chat. Let's move on very, very, very quickly. By the way, Chris Aidencar says, tell Chris my Manscaped stopped working.
Shit, it is within the year. I'll get my people to contact his people. Dave, if you're watching, can you do me a favor, mate?
And lads, I do see the comments on the Instagram live. Appreciate all the kind words. I can't get through them all.
I just wonder how coarse is that man's ball hair?
Clogging a trimmer. He's shearing the sheep.
It is no neck technology.
He's shearing the sheep with it.
Let's get into let's get away from that sort of things. What's this now? Oh, I believe the league table is next to the Galaxy chart. Nice way to end that. I like that. Anyway, listen, we'll have to talk about the games this weekend. We won't get into them too in depth. It's probably going to have to be a who is your prediction. And we'll go with it. We'll go with Saturday's games first. Because we're on the Division 1 table here, we'll start with Division 1. Mavericks against Rhinos. Implications for who gets the home semi-final in this game. The winner will more than likely play the loser at home the following 2 weeks. Actually, there's a week in between. In the semi-final for second versus third. Chris and Fionn, I'm going to leave open to you two for this one. Who have you got in this game?
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think the Rhinos are coming in with a nice bit of momentum, as we said. Nice win to get them into this playoff seeding against the Eagles last week. I'm going to take the Mavericks, though. I think their squad has played better over the course of the season, so maybe the confidence is a little bit higher. I do think it's going to be a dinger of a game. I expect it to be pretty close, certainly within one touchdown, maybe within one score. And then I reckon the Mavericks will probably put on 12 men, kick a field goal.
Stole my joke. Stole it.
Saving that trick play for the semi-final.
Go ahead, Chris. Beg your prediction. -1 joke.
Yes, that's why I was wondering who's going to say it first, because it was definitely coming out. Yeah, like much the echo what Fionn said. The Mavericks have just been playing better football this year. The Rhinos have been getting better as the years progressed. That is 100% for sure. But I just think Mavs at home with the playoff heads on, like that's going to be a tough game for the Rhinos to overthrow them. So I don't think it's going to be exceptionally wide. I think it's going to be quite tight. But it's definitely going to be the Mavericks.
It's going to be our family fun day as well, and we're doing it in aid of Little Blue Heroes charity. So we'll have a bake sale and coffee cart and ice cream van, and the guards and the fire brigade will be down there doing demos. So if you're in the area, if you get down to Dundalk Rugby Club on Saturday and watch some football and have a bit of crack. And Dara, how about a little podcast wager, right? I thought neither of us mind each other's team too much. So wearing the other team's jersey isn't too much of a chore, but we do have very heated rivalries in another American Football League. Loser of the game this weekend has to wear, for you, a 49ers jersey, or for me, a Seahawks jersey. I think which would fairly sicken either of us. What do you say?
Oh, I'll pack my Seahawks jersey for you then.
Man,
Dara, it's going to be weird to wear a winning team's jersey, isn't it?
Which I was going to say, which number do you want to wear? Do you want to wear Bobby Wagner's, or do you want to wear DK Metcalf's?
Take Wagner. He's not even a Seahawk anymore.
Come on,
nearly as bad. He's an LA Ram. Yeah. Go give me DK. I
give you DK.
He's my NFL comp, I believe. DK.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The navy blue will bring out your eyes. It'll be lovely on screen next week. Right. We'll flip over then to the Premier Division for the 2 Saturday games. We'll have to talk about the big one. And that is, of course, the Trojans at home to the Admirals and Derrimore. Winner takes fourth with a little bit of a caveat, because the Admirals do have to win by more than 8 points if they are going to win that game to take fourth off the Trojans, due to the head-to-head record and the game previously at the start of the season. Fionn, I'll let you go first on this one. Who have you got?
Okay, I'm going to split it down the middle. I'm going to say Admirals win, but Trojans make the playoffs.
So less than 8 points.
Correct.
Okay, Alex.
I think the Trojans are the best. It's a long way from Cork to Belfast. I think the Trojans will be really locked in, and they'll put together. It'll be a close one, but they'll put the game with the win, which that'll be more than enough sitting through.
Okay, Chris, are you allowed to give a prediction, or do you like to stay on the fence?
Like, I don't think anyone really needs to ask me what my prediction would be. I am known for saying
fun. The prediction is we all
the prediction is
have
fun. I will always back myself, my team, whatever, as winning going into something, because the mindset you need to have to go into a game. If you think you've lost already. Yes, it's a win, tie, lose by less than 8 scenario, which isn't the worst, but we would have preferred it to be done and dusted by now. So like, it's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a great match. I think hopefully the weather should be good. We've all got one last chance to get down the Fortress Derrimore. Like I have to say, I'm gonna side rail again, just talk Trojans and stuff for a bit. Like that game day experience as a player is fucking awesome. That's so fucking awesome. Like, and this goes sound so cheesy. Like you run out of the helmet to the roar of the crowd, and like that sounds like, oh yeah, it's an AFI game. There's like 500 people there, and they are screaming, and everyone does get extremely excited. And Finn is so sickened by the Trojans propaganda that he's dropped out. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. So it is.
Do you have kebab pizza and harp on tap?
No, we don't have kebab pizza and harps on tap, but we do have a barbecue that serves beer or Guinness. We have a upstairs indoor bar if it does rain. We have pizza at halftime. We have inflatables for the kids. Last week we had Nerf Wars, which I thought was paintball, which was very close to the pitch. I was quite concerned. But yeah, if you're in Belfast or the surrounding area and you want to come down and watch some football and have a bit of crack, or even if you have your kids and you just want your head rested for like an hour so they go on a bouncy castle, just get down to Derrimore. It's great crack. It's good fun. But yeah, we're gonna win.
Don't need to sell it any better. Listen, I think it's an interesting matchup because Trojans' defense all season has been class. The Admirals' offense now is starting to heat up nicely, which is going to be fun to watch. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm going to fancy the Trojans to win this. Probably by a field goal, less than a touchdown. So I think they'll win outright. They won't lose within the 8 points and stuff like that. They'll win outright, get to the playoffs on high hopes before they go down to Dublin, because that's mental. You're guaranteed to be going to Dublin. Just you don't know which part of Dublin yet, which is crazy. Some
parts we would prefer than others.
Yes, of course. Well, for my sake, I hope it's the sport campus, because I actually would like to see the Trojans in person. They're one of the only teams I haven't actually watched play yet in person. So that'd be the Panthers, but I don't think that's going to happen. But sure, look, we'll see. What is the other game? Yeah, Minotaurs Rebels. The interesting thing about this game is the Rebels have to put up points, and they have to put up a lot of points to put pressure on UCD. I'm guessing we're all expecting a Rebels win. No disrespect to the Minotaurs, but give me an idea on a total that they think that would be good enough for the Rebels that they would fancy UCD not to catch.
I can imagine they're thinking 50 burger.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I can see the Minotaurs putting up a bit of resistance. The Rebels are going to have to go all out, and I think with not their first choice QB in, maybe they take more risks and throw more picks. And I love Joe, but no one has more practice at picking off passes than the Minotaurs defense, because they are against Joe Kinahan every week in training. So maybe them boys put those well-learned skills to use, pick off with the Rebels a couple of times, and maybe make it closer than the Rebels would like it to be.
Yeah, they had a few picks on us over the weekend. Also, Joe was in the DE, which was outstanding. Just
A man of many talents. What can't he do?
I'm not going to touch that with a barge pole. But yeah, it's going to be 50-60. I have a lot of time for Joe. The Minotaurs, yes, they're officially relegated. That's it. See, Premiership football is over, providing the league stays the same shape that it is now. So they had everything to play for up at Darrenmore last week. There's not much to play for now, but the Minotaurs aren't the type of team that'll go and say, sure, we'll come down. If it's a bit shit, we'll throw a snap in the third quarter and go home. But it's going to be a rolling clock. I'm going to say rolling clock from the first half. And 60, mid-60s to 7.
Okay, interesting. I'm just trying to quickly go back through my records here because they had a game at the end of the season last year. Yes, they did. The Rebels won 58-0 the end of last season.
What team was that against, Dara? Can you remind me?
The Minotaurs.
Minotaurs?
Yeah, they beat the Minotaurs 58-0 at the end of last season.
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. My question is, if they were to replicate that score, would that be enough to secure first place?
What is the current points difference?
High likelihood.
So 22 is how much UCD are ahead. So that means
that would be a
36.
Yeah.
So they would have,
UCD would need to win by a 36-point lead over the Panthers.
That would be enough.
So that'd be enough. Okay. No problem. All right then. So then on the opposite side, we'll go to Sunday's games very quickly. Panthers at home to UCD. We expecting UCD to win this game, and then also knowing what they'll have to do can determine how much urgency there will be in the first half to score points and score points quick. Knowing also, and Fionn unfortunately is not here, so I can't give him shit over. The Panthers have conceded 30 points in each of the last 3 games. So that is a defense to score points on. It's just whether or not you can stop the offense.
Will they have their head coach on the sideline this weekend, the Panthers?
No, statement from the league.
Yeah,
no statement from the league.
We will probably shocker, right? I know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if he's not there. There was an incident in the game last week. If he's not there, that is a massive blow to the Panthers. I think he's really improved them markedly. We can all see it. And obviously, they've got great talent. The players are great, and Finn and Maddie will be great leaders, even in his absence. But taking play calling and that sort of thinking out of the hands of your playmakers and putting it into a man just on the sideline, that makes a huge difference in a game that's probably going to be close and of high quality. I think that does make a reasonable difference. And maybe given that to the Panthers, they would not want to show anything off either. Are they happier to just take the
third?
You let UCD win by enough that the Rebels can't catch them, and then they play the Rebels, their ultimate rival, in a massive match in the semi-final. These are all theories, and they're all as real as the league table.
Yeah, I mean,
should mention as well there that Antwerp Workers got into the chat on Instagram. He says that the Panthers defense has had 11 starters for only 1 game this season. Now, I don't know, Antwerp, if they're going to be available this game, but if that is the case, then that they're not, well, then there's another potential issue on the way for stopping this UCD offense.
Yeah, and you have a full strength UCD at the moment? Do you have
Yeah.
exams are done, we're ready to go and play ball, like we have no distractions, we're here to wreck house? UCD, who are playing for a home semi-final. There is something to lose for them if they lose this game, so they want that home semi-final. Like that is a dangerous combination. And to add insult to injury, you know, that weird loss due to the game getting called off early will be like a smack in the mouth for them. So what they're probably going to take out that anger and aggression on the Panthers, who, as a comment has just come in, that we're seeing they've low numbers on, or they're struggling to fulfill defense. They've had 30 points for the last 3 games come on them. There is a very, very good chance that UCD may end up in the 1 seed, no matter how hard the Minotaurs lose.
Mm-hmm. Antos come back and said that they are looking at a full squad going forward. So they should have 11 starters this weekend, which will help. Absolutely will help. But we still fancy sort of UC. It'll be interesting to just see. It's fascinating that just how it's working out, that they will know because of the Rebels playing on Saturday what exactly they need to do. Look,
They're
we're
the
way
best
over
team in the
time.
country. They just are.
Yeah. Very quickly then for the Premier Division, Vikings Knights, not much implication on this possible seeding when it comes to the play. One word answers. Who have you got in this game, Viking or Knights?
Knights.
I'll go Vikings.
Okay. I'm gonna go Knights as well, just because the implications of that and point difference and stuff like that. I just don't want to have to deal with trying to figure out what league tables now next week.
Oh, it's Vikings at home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll go for Vikings.
Right. Very quickly then, we will only have 2 games on Sunday in the first division because the Crusaders are awarded a 30-0 win because the Vipers have already forfeited. They will not be making the trip down to Newbridge. So that officially, again, no communication from a certain league body, officially takes allegedly takes the Vipers out of plate contention as well because they forfeited 2 games this year. So that means the Jets are going to the plate. Hooray!
Much to the sadness in Antrim. The Jets have 1 more week of football.
Unless they decide to forfeit the game where they also will not be able to take part, I should say, in the plate. But I don't think that's going to happen. But they are due to face the Cowboys. Again, one word answer. Over 40 points by halftime, yes or no?
Yes. No, actually, no. Yes.
No. No idea. Don't care. Move on.
Yeah. I love that. Alex is like, I'm off a plane. I'm pissed off. I'm not going to talk about the fucking Jets.
Over or under for 4 quarters? As in, will
under.
there be 4 quarters?
Under. Absolutely under. I will bang the table on under. Right, the biggest game in Division 1 at the weekend is the game that will decide who gets the 4th and final playoff spot, allegedly, because we don't even know about the outcome of potential points deductions for Eagles TPOs. We're still waiting to hear back on that, which would absolutely make sense for the Monday after the Eagles potentially beat the Giants to find out that they were in the playoffs. Now they're not in the playoffs because this is how shit is ran. Anyway, Eagles Giants in Gory. Lads, again, one word answer. Who are you taking in this game?
Eagles.
Giants.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm sorry we can't dedicate more time to it because we're obviously way over time. I'm gonna go with the Eagles there myself. It's a long trip down, and I'd love to see the Giants do it. Love to see the Giants get in the top 4 and make the playoffs. But also, if the Giants win, that means potentially either ourselves or yourself Alex will be going to Craigavon. So, yeah, that's why I'd want the Eagles to win instead, because I don't fancy going up to Craigavon for the playoffs, even though I'd still like back us, obviously, but don't want to go up to Craigavon. Anyway, lads, it's been a mammoth show. Mammoth show. I cannot speak. I've been on the air too long. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evenings. Chris, welcome to the podcasting world. Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been very new and exciting.
Yes, it's you sound like a natural, like you've been doing it for years.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Alex, I really appreciate you coming on after your work trip, keeping you longer than probably should have. I'll see you on Saturday. Looking forward
Pleasure
to it.
as always. I'm going to go talk to my wife. Much to her annoyance.
Yes, and look, before we go, if you want to follow us on our socials at UnderCenterPod, like I said, tables, fixtures, stats from the unofficial tables, stats, results, fixtures. Follow us on our podcasting platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever. Under Center Podcast, that's where you can listen back. And then YouTube, Under Center Podcast. Subscribe, like the video. Really appreciate all the comments this evening. If you have any others, put them in the comments underneath the YouTube video and we'll try to get back to them. But until next week, where we'll look back at all these games and Alex is wearing the Seahawks jersey, stay safe and we'll see you soon.
Peace.